I'm Keith. Welcome to the show. It's time for a little Funky Friday. From their funky hidden headquarters, your hosts, Keith and Gary. Not Jerry. Yeah. I think that today is just a prime example of how my week has gone. So, fuck it. Why get stressed about it? I'm just going to unstress. Our guest hasn't arrived yet. We just talked to him like live, like 40 minutes ago. Going to be there, and I don't know what's happened. Maybe they've had an emergency. I don't know. They're not answering the phone, so something happened. And Keith is, as normal, fashionably late. He's on Keith time, black guy time. I hope everybody enjoyed his first run at doing Fridays. He is going to host every Friday, Morning Coffee with Keith. And of course, you know, he takes his coffee black. And everybody knows that I like to take my coffee the way I like my women. Hot and full of cream. So, Keith, no, he didn't fall asleep. He was having technical problems. He really was. I talked to him. He's, for some reason, when he left our chat earlier, it was because something happened with his computer. So he's at war with his computer right now. So he'll be here when he gets here. But right now we do have my good friend Steven.
Hi.
What are we calling you today? Jaffag? Just a fucking guy?
Steven,
Gamer? Gamer.
Just
Gamer?
Just call me Steven.
Not Jaffo. We'll call you Jaffo, though. I like Jaffo. Just another fucking observer. But Fat Steven is here. He's in his house. It's good to see you, Steven.
Thank you.
And Martina Costa Santana is here to manage the chat as usual, the right side of my brain. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Let's see who all showed up. Let's see. Martin was one of the first, even though technically I saw a post from Monkey Jeebus that disappeared. He was the first person here. He posted yesterday. Pardon me, my allergies are kicking my ass. Ragweed is out today. I looked out and I saw him out in the field. I'm like, oh, don't come in the house. But anyway, Penny is here. Good morning, Penny, or good afternoon, Penny. Good afternoon, Penny. Anima Confusi, love of my life, is here. Alatar. Socks Bulletin is here. Hey, Socks, thank you so much for all the sharing you do, man. Seriously, you're a good dude. And, you know, somebody asked me, they didn't know how to deal with you one day because, you know, you don't agree with a lot of the things that we say. And I said, I don't care, man. Stocks is a solid dude. Even when I don't agree with you, man, I absolutely, oops, that was our guest. And he came in, and just as soon as he showed up, he dropped out. I think he's having technical issues. So, Socks, you're a solid dude. You're definitely one of my favorite people, man. And I thank you so much for sharing and supporting the show. Scott Lewis is in the chat, not in his house. How are you doing, my friend? Joe's Atmosphere. Well, Fridays are now Keith's morning. I take Tuesdays and Fridays off. I'm like Johnny Carson now. And so let's see. Who else? Kingsport Cal is here. How are you doing, my friend? Oh, what the fuck just happened? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah,
I
we
just
can
hear
hear
a
you.
loud pop, and everything went dead. Well, Keith made it. There's Keith. Tracy just joined us before you, and right when it showed that he had joined the room, he dropped out. So I'm waiting to see what happened.
Wow.
I think he's having technical problems out there in California.
Me too.
Well, yours is that the internet hates you.
Okay. I can see that.
Sliders Fan blog is here. A new person to the show. I wanted to welcome you. I saw your post, your comment online. I think it was on Facebook. Glad to have you join us. I don't know what's going on. Tracy seems to be having some technical issues because we talked to him a couple of times this morning, and he joined us a few seconds ago, right before Keith joined us. And right when it said hasn't joined the room yet, and then it said join the room, and then he dropped. So I think he's having some technical issues out there in California. So I'm hoping that this works there because him and Robin are really great people, man. They're good people. Alatar, good morning or good afternoon. Good evening, whatever. Who else? Did I miss anybody? Did I get everybody?
Yes.
All right, man. Or as my mom would say, all right. My late mother. That's what she would say. It annoyed all of us. All right. So my brothers would crack up laughing whenever I would do an impression of her doing that. It's like, hey, Mom, are we going to have beer? She says, yes, sweetheart, I'll bring you out a beer. And I look at my brothers and I go, all right. They would laugh. But now she is gone. I still do my impression of my mother. I do not. No. Come on, guys. Help me out here. What are we going to talk about till we have a show?
Well, we can talk about,
let's talk about sliders. The Star Trek.
We could talk about sliders and Star Trek.
Start with sliders because we have a new person in the chat today, and
okay,
they joined us and are a big sliders fan and a Tracy Tormé fan. So let's talk about some sliders. Lay some intelligence on us, buddy. Dork Knight is here. What is up, Dork?
Is audio messing up, or is it just me?
I was getting static too. I mean, what's up with that?
There's something weird going on the internet today because,
dude, it's all audio is fucked up. It's all fucked up.
Mine?
Sorry, but
Yes.
all of it. All I'm hearing is
Mine?
static from everyone. Yes, Mark, can you say something?
Something.
Okay, you're fine, Gary. Now I can't hear you. Period. Now you're delayed. You went your mouth opened, and then the came 2 seconds later.
All right, I'm going to jump out back and come back in. I don't know.
Sorry for taking all your F-bombs. I do apologize for taking all your F-bombs. So, welcome to the Fat Stevens Show. Care of we have no guest. And I hacked his audio. So far, we got a bunch of announcements. True. Todd McFarlane announcing he got the director for Joker for the new Spawn movie. Did you hear about that, Keith?
Really?
Yeah, it's on Twitter. I think I retweeted it yesterday. So, yes, Spawn is getting the Joker director, I believe.
All right.
Wow.
It's better?
Yeah.
No, I can still see your face.
Oh.
Hey, where did he go?
I was finally free.
Just when I was out, they bring me back in.
They
Anyway,
call me back in.
so how's things
Gary?
going, guys? It's been a
going pretty
weird
good.
week.
I hear your audio was brought to you by dyslexia.
Oh, jeez.
I think it's your cords, Gary. I don't think it's StreamYard. I think it's are your cords all plugged in?
Thank you for your cooperation.
All right, let me take clips. All right,
The goddamn robot's done!
every time I open my mouth is good.
A righteous infliction of retribution.
Gary loves Steven. What was
No,
that
we
middle
got some new
finger?
videos. Did you put those in there, Martin, or did you do it, Keith?
Yeah.
I didn't put any new videos in.
Oh, I liked it. This is my favorite. I put this
Hey,
in.
Brian, it's me. I got a question for you. Herbert and I are playing categories. Would you count NyQuil as a beverage? No, right?
No.
Yeah, not gonna fly, old man. Thanks, Brian.
Oh, that is bullshit.
That's one of my favorite moments from Family Guy. That's some bullshit. So while we wait, lay down some knowledge. You're going to lay down some knowledge about sliders. Let's talk about it.
Okay. First of all, sliders. is one of my favorite shows from the 90s.
Oh, no, I meant the small hamburgers.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're sure?
Oh, my God, I'm black-faced.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Anyway, you know, the thing is that Sliders was a show that I really, really enjoyed because of what it dealt with, going to different possible universes. And
ladies and gentlemen, we get yelled at a lot here on Pop Culture Minefield about mic etiquette and our phones being off and etc. And then when the tables turn, we have to say nothing except make smart-ass comments while talking about Sliders. And I do mean the great show that had Jerry O'Connell before the last season with the Cro-Mags turned into utter garbage with his brother. Sorry, is that about right, Keith?
there you go.
I love Sliders, especially. Oh man, that was so good.
It was a fun show. And,
remember the game show episode with the metallic spiders and Rembrandt is on the web? Yeah, come on, man.
Well, the entire show is just well done. I mean, first and foremost, you had a great cast that had incredible chemistry pretty much right off the bat. And it's hard to have that. We were just talking about shows with great chemistry earlier today, and we had talked about Moonlighting being one of those classic shows that has incredible chemistry between the leads. And the thing about Sliders is that everybody was fun. You know, you found everybody had that one character on the show that they truly identified with. And then alternate universes. For many people, I think this was really their introduction of that concept, and watching it on a weekly television series that I think Fox really got behind.
Yeah, it was. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
We can pretty much say it was the quantum leap of the multiverse. That's pretty much what it was.
Pretty much.
They're constantly looking for the way back home. I think every episode, it didn't have to just all do with the characters. It also had to do with like the which world they traveled to. The concept of the story was relatable to a lot of different people, and it would always be something different. And there were some episodes, like I love the series, but I would skip over because I preferred other episodes more. There was something about the more science fiction aspect of it than sometimes oh Meg, we're going to make out live. Sorry.
There we go. It looks like we're about to be joined
by Buffering Circle.
There we go.
Tracy.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey guys. Wow. Hi guys. Sorry these technical difficulties.
Two other people out in California, friends of mine, were having troubles too. So it looks like it's a left coast issue today. But glad to have you, Tracy. It's good to see you.
Thank you. You too. We live on top of a mountain out here, so we've had some weird internet experiences. Try to get it right. But
I'm also looking forward to next Wednesday when we get you with Dawn. Dawn's been looking forward to hear your report on what happened. And we won't talk about it today. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
But today we're going to celebrate your career.
Yeah.
And is Robin going to join us? I invited her to join us.
Oh, I'm losing you, Gary.
Uh-oh. Can you guys hear me?
Robin, would you like to join us?
Keith, can you hear me?
She'll be in a little bit.
Yes, I can.
Okay. So, I said if she wanted to join us, she is more than welcome. Because even though it's not a family show...
She witnessed the entire incident the other night. She was right next to me, So she'd be, and I've really not even, believe it or not, I haven't really discussed it with her that much. I'd be curious to hear what she remembers. But yeah, she'll stick her head in it.
Cool.
I lost him.
Here we go. You got me.
Yeah. I'm going in and looking at your mic settings to make sure that you were coming through. So, but anyway, it's so good to have you on here, Tracy. Big fan of your work.
Thank you.
Both Keith and I are. both
Yes.
big fans of
Oh,
your work, and
appreciate it.
and getting you on here because we've had Academy Award winning nominated directors and stuff, but the fact is somebody that's connected directly to some of our favorite shit is like, I mean, that's like that fifth score moment to get you on here. And I thank Don Ecker for introducing us because I love Don. I love that man. He is just so awesome. Him and
he's
Vicky.
a great guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And
I've known Vicky.
Oh yeah, they're just such great people, and I'm so grateful for him to introducing us. He's going to be introducing me some other people too, like your other friend from Star Trek that played Reggie. You're friends with him too, right?
Reggie?
Dwight Schultz?
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Schultz.
Yeah, I've met him through Don, but I don't know him very well. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you all were mutual friends.
No, only through Don. Yeah.
Outstanding. So Keith was laying down some sliders knowledge before you joined us.
A little sliders knowledge. I do have a question though.
Sure.
What was it like working with Linda Henning? I know that's an out of left field question, but there's a reason for that.
She was okay. She was very, very nice. She's just kind of like a lovely person. Very. I remember her supportive and very open, and we liked her. I mean, it's interesting that you know her because she was mom in the series, so she wasn't, on all the time. But very nice lady. Why do you ask?
Well, the reason why I asked is I grew up with her on her hit show Petticoat Junction, and when I saw her on Sliders, that's what my mind went to every time I saw her.
Wow. Yeah.
I just, I had always
There's Uncle
wanted
Joe. He's slow.
Moving kind of slow at the junction. That's right.
I'd always wanted to ask that because it's like I loved her on
get
the
that
show.
out of my head.
By the way, Lord Thoth is here, and he wants to let Keith know that you are an expert at left field questions. There you go.
Well, thank you.
Of course, Kingsport Cal is here, and he wanted to make sure I let you know that he's a big Sliders fan. So there. We have a very dedicated audience. They're kind of at their half speed right now, but you're what?
I don't know if you guys. Well, after a lot of rumors that were not we did about a reboot Sliders very recently. I got back together with Clayman, who is one of the executives of Fox that bought the show, and Jacob Epstein, who is a executive producer with me on the show one of our seasons. And we actually came up with a pretty good plot of how to bring the show back. Actually fit in the whole concept of the show. Really cool. We were very optimistic, and we worked on it together for a little while, and we met with the people who have taken over, I guess, for Universal since with all the stuff has happened in TV land. They now have, I guess, the or no say whether we're going to do the show again. And they decided, oddly, that this wasn't exactly the right time, but we'll wait and see what happens. So right now we're in limbo, but there's a chance Sliders might come back. So
wow,
that
is excellent.
Nice.
We have a question from the chat. Did Tracy come up with the concept for Sliders?
Mm-hmm.
Was that you that came up with the idea?
Yes, that was mine.
Wow.
It was totally me, and with a guy named Bob Weiss, who's known best for producing all the Naked Gun movies. and the Blues Brothers, and he came up with the title Fighters, and was really responsible for picking Jerry O'Connell. Very valuable in that way we created it. I've been sort of moving around the for a while, and so it was a little. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
it's that connection out in California. It's making you choppy. I'm not going to miss this opportunity to talk with you, choppy or not.
Sorry, guys.
It's not your fault. It's your internet out there in Cali right now. It's, like I said, it's not just you. That whole area seems to be having a problem.
I hear you.
But
well, guess what? Nothing in California works anymore. So there you go.
Well, I got to ask you, man, because you were one of the first people to work with Jerry O'Connell after he lost weight. What was the casting process for getting him? Because I love that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, interesting, when he came in to read the part, he had hair all the way down, halfway down back, and super long hair. And I remember we were thinking, is this the fat kid from Stand By Me? Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
is this the fat kid from Stand By Me?
Totally different. Yeah. And, you know, and great guy. I mean, we were very lucky. We cast a slide. East Davies was a bit temperamental sometimes, but the rest of just really nice people. I'm still very good friends with Claude. Going to New York to see him in the Wicked. He's in Wicked. Plays the Wicked on Broadway.
Oh, the kid. Yeah, I call him a kid.
So,
he's in his
going back
50s.
to him.
Yeah, it's God, his name's escaping me right now.
So,
Hold on. Warwick Davis.
Who are you trying to think of? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Warwick Davis.
No, I was talking about Cleavon Derricks. He played the Rembrandt Brown in Sliders.
Yeah.
The crying. Right. Yeah. We were very lucky. It was an easy group of people to work with. I wish the network is easy to work with, but the actors were great.
Wow.
Well, I want to introduce you to everybody here, Tracy. The one between us is Keith. He's not just some random black guy that shows up on the show. He's my partner in crime. And the other co-host of this show is my friend Steven down there. And then, of course, Martin Acosta Santana is Venezuelan royalty and lives in Mexico now. And he is, of course, the right side of my brain. He manages the chat when we have people coming in. And this is your current panel. Steven, do you have any questions for Tracy?
Great. How much trauma have you been through dealing with Gary as a friend?
Wow.
No, he has not known me very long. I just met.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. When it comes to maybe just the Sliders in general, because that was one of the shows I kind of grew up on. It was one of those first instructions, like we were talking before you arrived, is like to the multiverse in a way, because it was Quantum Leap for multiverses. Did you have a favorite moment or favorite kind of arc within the series that you can always go back to and re-identify as, and it brings back, like that energy? When you watch a show and it gives you that energy inside, like that weird feeling in your chest, do you still have that kind of attachment? Is there any episode in general? I talk really fast. Sorry about the ADHD.
That's a great question. Sure. I mean, you I don't know your audience, how, up on all the Sliders episodes, but I had an episode that was my personal favorite. It was called The Guardian. It was on early in third season. And it was about meeting his father, because there was a sort of a weird time jump. He was able to go back to his childhood. It's hard to explain, but he ended up getting his father who died years ago, and he meets him again. And what was weird for me, guys, was my dad had just had a stroke.
Oh, shoot.
And he was in the process of dying. He was in the process of dying slowly while I wrote that episode. And I feel a lot of feelings about that into that episode. There's a lot of philosophical things in it about death and that. So I think that episode in particular really was very personal for me. It's weird because I loved the episode. I thought it worked really well, but at the same time, it was dealing with things that I was losing my dad, and so it's a weird mixture for me. But I think that's the episode that stand out the most to me because of the personal aspect. I'll tell you a quick thing. I worked a lot with a genius physicist guy who happened to be a fan of the show, and so he just sort of became an unofficial consultant. If I had a scientific quandary about the show, I would go to him and I would say, hey, how do I do this? What should I do? So he had come up with a way that Quinn could come back and see himself as a kid and make it factually real, scientific. And at the same time, he told me this really interesting thing about how stars in the sky are actually taken from, this sounds terrible, but people who die, they become dust and they go out of the cosmos. And so when you look up and you see stars, you can actually be seeing from your own life who had died. And it really stuck with me. That was a fascinating thing. So Quinn actually does a speech in the Guardian episode where he talks about it. He explains it to someone that stars are actually the remnants of dead people. And I just remember when I wrote that scene and everything, it was very emotional for me because my dad had actually had a really serious stroke, and then he lived for 2.5 years afterwards. And if anyone out there has ever dealt with a stroke patient, they have these moments of lucidity where they seem to come back to their old self again. And then for most of the time, they're stuck in this morass of the stroke. And that was with my dad. And we used to go through these periods where we thought, oh my God, he's coming, he's getting his mind back, getting his speech back. And then there were moments where, it was like that, where we brought him to the feet, got together for Thanksgiving year, had gotten better, and he was in, and we could talk with him. And it's a really weird, tragic type of thing. So I was right in the midst of all that when I wrote The Guardian. So that, episode is the one that really stuck with me. So.
Well, I need to point out that one of my favorite episodes, it's absolutely my favorite episode of the entire series, was Exodus. It was a 2-part episode, and it was the most Next Generation-like episode because it dealt with the same moral quandaries that Star Trek Next Generation dealt with, where they're coming to a version of Earth that's doomed. It's dying, being killed off by radiation from the sun, and they are able to take a set number of people to save, to take to another Earth. Slide them. And I thought, what a great episode. What inspired that episode for you? And as I recall, you were the lead writer on that one.
That was the Roger Daltrey episode, wasn't it? Roger Daltrey.
I think Roger was in that. Yeah. Daltrey was in it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but no, I was not involved at all with that because I had moved on to things by the time Exodus came on. I was only with Sliders for the first 2.5 seasons. I think that was the fourth season show. So
no, that was third. It was the third season. I could have sworn I saw your name in the credits.
Well, I was still on the credits because I was still technically a producer.
Okay.
I had really left the show. Yeah. So, but Roger Daltrey actually did a concert for the entire crew. The last day of shooting, he brought his guitar in and he sang and he played Who songs for everybody. So that was kind of cool.
Wow.
That's freaking cool.
Oh, am I losing you guys again?
No, we can still. It's choppy, but we can still hear you. You didn't. This is cool. Did they talk about the original Borg concept yet? No, we have not. Now, as I recall, the Borg was a Ronald D. Moore idea, wasn't it?
Yeah. Again, I didn't have. It was actually Maurice Hurley's idea.
Maurice Hurley's. Okay.
My arch enemy from Star Trek.
Your arch enemy.
So,
I hear a lot of people did not get along with him. You were involved with that movie Trouble on the Bridge, and that's where we heard a lot of shit about Maurice.
Yeah, Chaos on the Bridge.
Chaos on the Bridge. That's a
Chaos
great little
on the
documentary,
Bridge.
man.
Yeah, I've never actually seen it, but Shatner did the interview with me, and
because you're
in it. I
it.
wondered what he was going to be like, because I'd heard. Yeah, I know, but I heard many. Times Shatner was kind of an egotist, crazy, but he couldn't answer to me. He was really, really nice, so it was fun doing that because of meeting him. But I tell you, I said my enemy Maurice Hurley, but if you'd rather skip over that stuff, I totally understand it.
Oh no! It's like if you're not afraid of saying something, you will find something about this show. Is that Keith and I just speak our minds. We just say whatever's on our minds. And so, if you have something you want to say about that guy, look,
I'm afraid of saying much.
Okay, well, I got to tell you that we don't like another person involved with Star Trek because of his interference with Star Trek V. And again, Shatner was warned not to listen. Who was that guy, Keith?
Oh, that was producer.
I'm trying to help him.
You guys you've forgotten his name.
Harv Bennett.
Harv Bennett.
I didn't want to say it. I was hoping Keith would say it. Harv Bennett absolutely betrayed Star Trek, the original crew. He wanted to move on to Next Generation movies. And that's how Star Trek V got so screwed up.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was really involved in all the features, but
he thought he was Star Trek is the problem. Keith and I we shit on him all the time. But got to tell you, man, if you got something to say about working with that dude, feel free to shit on him. This is the show where we absolutely enjoy relishing shitting on people that are crappy.
They like Amber Heard.
You talking about Harv Bennett?
No, well, I was talking about Harv Bennett, but you were talking about the other gentleman that was your nemesis.
Maurice Hurley.
Yeah, Maurice Hurley.
Yeah, Maurice Hurley. It's a sad. So I'll tell it as I can. I've done 3 episodes of Next Generation, the first season, and we really gotten lucky. All of them, they'd all gone over really well. We won a Peabody Award, one of them, and So I had all of this leverage after the first, and I was planning on doing that eventually became The Fire in the Sky. I was in the early stages of doing that, and I really wanted to leave Star Trek and go do the movie. And they made me a really nice deal where I would stay for the second season. But here's the cool thing. I didn't have to attend any writers' meetings or anything. I would just write my 3 episodes, have us at Star Trek, and I could work on my movie at the same time. Well, this freaked Hurley out because now he was running the show and he was a real control freak. And what he did, as crazy as this sounds, it's totally true. He went to work sabotaging all of my episodes for the second season. I took my name off 2 of the 3 of them, which is a real insult to him because I wouldn't even put my name on my own scripts because I hated them so much. So he rewrote 2 scripts that I'd written. One was called The Royale, and the other was called Manhunt. And he rewrote them from page 1, and I just thought they were horrible. I could barely even watch them. And it was interesting. Later on, another writer on the show, producer, a guy named Bert Armis, who knew Hurley really well, he came up to me after all this. He said, "Hey, Tracy, do you know the reason that Maurice hates you so much, don't you?" I said, "No, I'd love to know why it is." He said, "It's because Gene likes you so much," meaning Roddenberry. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, and it's true. So
I don't doubt it for a second. Yeah,
it's just sad because I had all this momentum to the first season, and I really was excited to do 3 more episodes for the second season. And I thought they were horrible. I mean, there might be people out there that like them, but I couldn't stand them. So, yeah, because I really feel like instead of doing 2 good seasons of Star Trek, I only got to do 1. So
you never got to meet Ronald D. Moore then? You had left by the time Ronald.
Oh
Moore
yeah,
came.
I knew Ronald Moore, and I knew him because I went on to do a show called Carnival, an HBO show.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's right.
And he was on that show. Yeah. So,
what did you think of his writing? Did you like him?
There. God, he was very overrated, to be really honest. He did some good stuff, but again, I guess it's my day for trashing people. I don't mean to, but after I left Star Trek, he took over my office. He actually went into my office. That was where he started working out of. People start calling me and going, "Tracy, what's with this guy that's answering the phone at your old office?" I said, "Who? Do you know who it is?" I later found out it was him, more. And people would call looking for me, thinking I was still there. And he was just really, really rude. He was real snotty with everybody that called. There's an easy way to do it, to say, hey, he's moved on, he's at Warner Brothers now. But he was just nasty to people. So that was my first introduction. And then he was good friends with a good friend of mine, Harlan Ellison. So Harlan knew Moore really well and used to talk about it sometime. But not a huge fan of his work, to be honest with you, but who am I to say?
Well, I do want to say that Keith and I have touted you as one of the people that should take over Star Trek. Because the current Trek is just garbage. It's just terrible. And said, look, if Paramount gets its head out of its ass and decides to start making Star Trek again to be Star Trek. Some of the names that were brought up were Bear, Moore, and Tormé. And Keith actually said a week ago,
very nice.
Last week, Keith actually said he should be the one that takes over Star Trek. So who's talking to you? Anybody over there? Anybody over there talking to you about it?
Talking to them about the Picard show. You guys watch that?
I watched the first episodes of this first season. I watched one episode of the second season, and I refuse to watch anymore. But now we hear that Paramount has intervened and is.
Oh, I'm losing you, Gary.
Oh, sorry, Keith. You want to say it? That Paramount intervened.
Yeah, we're hearing that Paramount's taking a little more of an interest, and that the showrunner for season 3 may actually be attempting to take the show back to what it was when you were working on it for Next Generation, to make it a little.
In other
more...
words, good.
Oh,
good.
So
I was gonna do do you guys know the character Dixon Hill from Star Trek?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to bring Dixon Hill back for the Picard show. Had a nice little story together of how he would resume that character. And I was talking to Jonathan Frakes about it and talked to Patrick Stewart about it. For various reasons, we never ended up doing it.
That would have been
but
so
then I
fucking
started
cool.
hearing from all kinds of people that they couldn't stand the show. So I never saw it. I don't know what was. Interestingly enough, I had the Picard character starting a relationship with a young black woman in this episode, and I was working the treatment of it. Jonathan Frakes came to me and said, "You do realize Patrick's like in his 80s now?" I said, "What? Are you serious?" And he said, "It's a little weird for an 80-something-year-old guy to have something going on with a 20-something-year-old girl." And I said, "Yeah, I guess you're right. That would be kind of weird." I never know how old Patrick is, even though I used to work with that. In his 80s, can you believe that? And then I made a terrible mistake too. Patrick's daughter actually went to school with my kid brother. And years ago,
Wow.
Patrick contacted me about it, trying to put them back together, an estrangement or something. So I brought her up. I brought his daughter up to him, talked to him, and he got very icy, man. I thought, what's it about? I found out later he's really estranged from his don't speak. And by me mentioning her, it was the right thing to do, but I didn't know at the time.
Yeah. That kind of sucks, man. No, I get it. It's not your fault when your foot ends up in your mouth like that. It's like nobody gave you any heads up. And God, because by the way, you brought up strokes earlier because it's something that I've dealt with a lot. I worked in the medical field for 15 years, combat medic, nurse, and paramedic.
Wow.
And I thought it was interesting because one of my childhood best friends who's been on the show, Jim Woodward, his dad had a stroke a few years back. And he is one of those weird cases where, like, before the stroke, he was kind of an asshole and nobody really liked him. He had the stroke, he recovered from it, and he was a completely different person. Everybody loved him. Wow. It's like, how is this possible? And it happens. And they touch on that in that movie regarding Henry that J.J. Abrams supposedly wrote. And where the guy gets a traumatic head injury with a bullet and it changes his personality. And that's what happened to my best friend's dad having a stroke. And he's doing great to this day. He's fully recovered. But now I do want to go over something else, bringing that up, is your dad. because a lot of people, I don't know if they've made the connection that you are Mel Tormé's son. And my dad was a fan of Mel Tormé, and I became a fan of your dad because of my dad, because I listen to jazz all the time. I still do. And Level 42 is a band I just introduced my girlfriend to. And I said, they're best known for one 80s song, but the fact is they're a jazz fusion band. If you listen to their music, they're jazz fusion. And I love jazz fusion, classic jazz. And your dad was a master of scat, man, doing that fucking jazz talk shit. And I mean, my God, he was so good at that.
Oh yeah.
And you said your brother, you on one hand moved towards writing, whereas your other brother, he's into the music and he likes doing jazz and scat and all that shit, right?
Well, I have two brothers, they're jazz singers. My older brother and my younger brother. Yeah, both of them are. But my kid brother is the one that really has the scat thing down. He just has it in his genes, and he can do it just kind of like my dad used to.
It was just natural, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in my house, I was the black sheep because I wasn't really in jazz. I grew up listening to the Beatles, and that probably drove my dad half crazy.
Oh, sure.
I did turn my dad on to Dan, though. That he has always appreciated. I played the first Steely Dan album for my dad, and he was fascinated by it. And he told me, Tracy, when this band has new albums out, you pick the top 2 or 3 songs you think I'd like, and I want you to play them for me. So I did that throughout Steely Dan. Every time a new album came out, I would go through the songs and figure which ones my dad would like most. Because my dad had this weird, not weird, but my dad was always on rock music or having 3 chords. That was the thing. It's 3-chord music.
Right.
So I knew what he liked. There were certain sophisticated musical things that my dad would always react well to. And so I very carefully used to expose him to some of my music, which was really hit or miss, because if he didn't like it, boy, he didn't like it. I mean, it was like, poking a bear stick or something. It was good. But if it was something he liked, that was kind of cool. I was proud of myself for finding some stuff that he could tolerate. So when my dad died, I actually got some calls from journalists asking if certain things they'd heard about Dad's likes and dislikes were true. And I'd say, oh yeah, he really died, or he really didn't like me. Guys are into music that much, or rock music. One of the people Dad really likes that surprises people is Todd Rundgren. He used to listen to some of the Todd Rundgren songs I played and really responded to them, which was strange. He almost recorded one. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I'm, because just as a shared
songs?
thing, my dad was like a big jazz fanatic. He loved jazz. And he would get me to sit down and listen. He loved Jackie Gleason Orchestra, too. He used to play Jackie Gleason Orchestra all the time. But I actually got my dad to listen to Sting, because Sting started using jazz in a lot of his music. Diminished seventh chords, just the progressive stuff. And my dad dug it. And so he started listening to Sting in his last days.
Wow.
And I felt like that was our one connection.
Cool.
That was our connection. So what band was your connection with your dad? What was the band that he liked?
Steely Dan. Definitely without question, that was the one he the most.
Yeah, but, Steely Dan.
But there were other things that I liked that he would hear that he was positive about. James Taylor. He liked James Taylor sometimes.
Yeah.
Lee Mann, he thought she was talented. Do you know her, guys?
I don't recognize the
You
name.
know who Amy Mann is?
Oh yeah.
She used to be.
Till Tuesday
Yeah.
was she was the
Oh!
singer of that.
Amy.
Right.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you conked out in my ear, so I
Exactly.
didn't hear that part. Yes, Amy Mann.
Yeah.
Dude, Jim Woodward, my friend I told you about, that was his hall pass. Was Amy Mann.
What do you mean?
That if he ever met her,
What
he
do
was
you mean
allowed
about
to have
that?
sex with her. By his wife.
Oh yeah.
He got a hall pass.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
Oh my god. Yeah, she is gorgeous. I love
Earth,
Till
Wind, and-
Tuesday.
Yeah, he liked Earth, Wind, Fire. He liked things, but then on the other hand, God, it was dangerous to expose him to modern music. I remember very specifically, I was in high school. I was in Brown a lot, and I decided to build up my courage and play some Jackson Brown songs for my dad. And I tried the ones I thought were the most profound and had lyrics and everything. My dad came in and sat down, and I started playing Jackson Brown songs. And in the middle of it, my dad got angry, and he jumped to his feet and went right to the piano playing these chords mockingly, like saying, "These are the same chords in these two songs. It's like one song. It's not even like two songs." And he was kind of angry, and I'm back into the couch like, uh-oh. And he goes, "Tracy, just when I think you're starting to get sophisticated taste in music, like Steely Dan, you play rap." And he stormed the room. So that's what could happen. If he didn't like it, he really didn't like it.
No, I dig,
And one
man. I
even
totally
said
get
to
it. My dad
me-
was the same way.
Yeah. He even said something about that no talent John Lennon. And I said, "Are you kidding me? That no talent John Lennon?" You know, he didn't. That type of music had come along, and his reaction to it was very similar as like my generation's, reaction to some of the music today. I mean, I watched the Grammys a couple years ago, and I was just horrified. Not only did I not know who anyone was, but I thought it was terrible. I didn't like anything I heard. So I guess it's a generational thing, you know?
Oh yeah.
Well, when it comes down to it, though, because
Mm-hmm.
I should point out that Keith and I are in your age group. We're both. I'm 58 and he's 54, and so we're I'm already feeling old. I feel so old some days. and as I recall, you were born in what year?
Me too.
59. Yeah, you're 4.5 years
59.
older than me. Yep, you're 4.5 years older than me.
Yeah.
And I'm about to catch up to you, and I'm telling you, man, I feel old. There are some days where the first words out of my mouth is, "God damn it, motherfucker!" Just getting out of bed. Ah.
Well, I was a quarterback in high school, and I always could throw really well all my life. And recently, I picked up a football and throw it, and it went straight into the ground. I mean, literally 2 feet and then no dive. So that's a sign of it, nothing else. And I was just like, "Are you kidding me? I can't throw anymore." So there you go.
Oh man, that's so funny.
Yeah, I'll have to go through that, I guess. So.
Well, it's something when I come out to California, because I used to come out there about once a year, but now in the last few years, the last time I went was 2017. I got invited to a film premiere there at the old Oscar Theater.
I'm sorry.
In Hollywood, Beverly Hills.
I hear what you said, Gary.
I was saying that. Am I choppy again, guys? Am I getting choppy?
Not really from my angle. I mean,
sometimes.
Okay, but
yeah,
I get it. Your internet just is giving you a tough time. But I was going to bring up Fire in the Sky.
I don't know where it was.
I wanted to talk about Fire in the Sky because I was in the Army when that movie came out, and I saw it on the post theater. And I walked away from that going, I fucking love this movie. And everybody's like, it was okay. I'm like, shut up, man. That was a great fucking movie. But I was curious, though, about the film because I know you changed. Because I've met Travis. I've met him a couple times. I've had drinks with him. Like if you go to Snowflake, there's that little bar that is right off the road, the main highway going through Snowflake. If you go in there, you're going to meet him if you stay long enough. He comes in that bar pretty regularly.
Yep.
So I've done that just to meet him. And I bought him drinks and he talked about it. And he said the one thing that was changed in the movie that bothered him was that why he was abducted and what happened to him during the abduction was not what was shown in the film. What was in the film was meant to be scarier.
That's right.
Whereas what really happened that he said he believes happened is that he had been killed accidentally by the beam and that they took him up to revive him because that beam, when it hit him, killed him, stopped his heart. And they took him up to revive him and bring him back. And they probably just had him in their version of, what is it, the ICU on a UFO. I see UFO. I see UFO. And what was the decision making? And was that something you were involved with in the writing? Because you wrote the screenplay. Did you make the changes, or was that done once they started going into making edits for the shooting script?
No, the original script was very, very close to the truth. It was almost hardly finalized at all. Okay, when we were in pre-production, I get this frantic call from a Paramount executive. Oh my God, I saw a movie last night, and they're talking about people put on tables with little aliens standing with big eyes and bald heads. We can't do it. It's already been done. You're going to take all that out of the movie. Totally ironically, he was talking about a TV CBS miniseries called Intruders.
That you worked on.
So
that's right. That's funny.
I wrote that script. Yeah. And so all of a sudden, all this tech at Paramount, the entire final sequence script would have to be changed. Or they were going to pull the plug and there would be no movie. So we frantically got together with Travis and tried to come up with something that was different, that it conveyed some emotions that he experienced, so to keep somewhat real. And then the idea was put forward, let's just make it scary. We're going to change it. Let's make it scarier.
So that's how it happened. I got you.
And I was not with. Yeah. And I wrote a letter of apology to the UFO community before the film. And I know the people that are going to and think really John Holly really did a terrible thing. And you know what? I agree with you. I wish we hadn't done it. But let everybody know about that. I knew it was, catch a lot of flack. Interestingly enough, people still come up to me, though, and say, that's like one of the scariest I've ever seen. It gives me nightmares. So I guess it worked in that way. It wasn't totally fictional. That whole sequence.
Yeah, that whole sequence. And look, it still works as a movie. It still works. But the fact is, that was a big major change. But the thing that bugged me about it when I thought back on it was how important it was that they saved him. They may have accidentally killed him, but they saved him. And that's an important part of the story that I wished you'd been allowed to keep in it. I wish you had been. Past that, I consider it one of my favorite UFO films.
Travis still talks to me about do another movie and do the full version this time. So we've been talking about it. I mean, it might happen.
Yeah, do a made-for-TV miniseries,
that
like you did with Intruders.
Could be, yeah. I think you're really smart to talk about he may have been and brought back to life. That's something I used to discuss with him, the possibility of it. I always thought this incident was like a hit and incident. You know? I think too close.
Yeah, it was.
To the object, and
yeah, and he got struck. You know, whether it was by the vehicle itself or by that beam that was shining down.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
I love that you have this passion about UFOs. Because like Bud Hopkins and those guys, I started reading that when I was in my 20s back in the 80s, reading Missing Time. Of course, I grew up on Chariots of the Gods. My dad would read that stuff to me, and then I got fascinated by it myself. And so when you did Intruders, because I already knew that story because I was reading those books, and I was so excited. And Richard Crenna, by the way, is the what my dad used to refer to as the lesser expensive Gregory Peck of actors. That he was, you know, because he just led so much credibility to whatever role he was in. And you got him for that movie and or miniseries. And I love Intruders, dude. I think that is such a great, because I watch it as a film, not as a miniseries. Even though I saw it when it was a miniseries, it's just it's one movie still in my mind. It's one movie that they split up, and I just love that film. What did you have to change to get that done?
It was a CBS miniseries that was during the original writer didn't really understand the whole abduction thing. He was a lot of trouble. So they let me come in, just rework it, and we put a new title on it. The title of Intruders, which I thought was too melodramatic, was They Are Among Us, which I'm looking now, but I thought it was kind of stupid. So we ended up changing it to Intruders, and interestingly, he used to own the rights, which you mentioned. It was the first book I ever bought the rights to.
Which one?
I always wanted to do an abduction. Missing Time.
Oh, Missing Time. Yes, great book.
Yeah, I owned it for a few years. Tried to get it made in Hollywood, and abduction in those days were just seen as being way too weird for people. They didn't grasp it. They probably thought I was half crazy. They believed in it at all. So we never Missing Time, but it sort of morphed into Her in the Sky. That's kind of what happened. But I can tell you, this was very interesting to me. When I was I lived in New York for a year. I got to spend a time with Bud Hopkins because he lived in Greenwich Village, and he used to call. This is going to sound crazy and hard to believe, but it's true. I'd be at Saturday Night Live where we had these really crazy hours. Can you guys
say that again?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Choppy or not, we still hear you.
Saturday Night Live had these really Saturday Night Live crazy hours, right? You then work until late night. You'd been in the afternoon, morning, and one time I was with their office, and Buttons calls me, and whatever you're doing, stop doing, jump into a cab, and come over to my house tonight because I've got a woman from Alaska that had this amazing abduction, and we're going to do some aggressive hypnosis with her, and I want you to be the witness. I said, oh, okay. So I would make some excuse at Saturday Night Live and for 3 or 4 hours and go to Bud Hopkins' place and witness this abduction session. that started being a regular occurrence. I mean, call me pretty regularly, come sit in on his abduction sessions. He was doing regressive hypnosis with all of these various abductees, and I would go with them, and then jump back in cab and back to Saturday Night Live, which was just insane because I'd see these scenes of horror, these people screaming and crying, reliving their abductions. And then I'd go back to comedy at 30 Rock College Center. It was surreal.
What was that like? What was that like working on SNL? That's the weirdest part of when I read your resume. I'm like, you see all these things, everything makes sense, and then you see Saturday Night Live, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I did a show that you guys, if you guys know, do you guys know the show SCTV?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was my first job, so I was actually there before Saturday Night Live.
What?
And that,
wow.
Yeah, because we grew up on SCTV, man. I was a big fan of that show.
Yeah, my first. I was hired when I was in college. I left school 12 units short of my degree to go join that show, and I went up to Toronto, and I worked on that show. So I started in comedy, which most people don't know, and Saturday Night Live was my second job. So it was.
You just reached a level of being like one of my other favorite writers who wrote The Exorcist, that built his career doing comedy. Yeah, William Peter Blatty, one of my favorite writers of all time, wrote comedy and then all of a sudden wrote one of the scariest fucking movies ever made. That's amazing, dude. I'm so blown away by you.
Yeah. Well, what like at Saturday Night Live, you're asking? Well, back in the days when it was illegal, we smoked a lot of pot there. I can bet.
No way.
You actually,
no way.
Oh, you were encouraged. They would come around, say, "Got any good ideas?" And if you didn't, he'd pull out a joint and say, "Well, try this, and hopefully come up with something." So that was pretty surrealistic. It wasn't like any other job, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, I met a lot of pretty cool musical people that came to the show. I'll say one really quick anecdote. I was a big Monty Python fan back in the day.
Amen.
And, one of the Monty Python 7 guys, Michael Palin. He was doing a quick sort of a cameo on Saturday Night Live when I was there, and I heard that he was coming, and I said, "Oh my God, I got to shake his hand." So I went up, knocked on the door, and there was Michael Palin, and I told him what an incredible fan I was, and he invited me in. He had a British friend that he'd come in when they were sitting in the room, and I spent like 3 or 4 hours with him. It was so cool. He would get up, hang out some of the sketches that I had mentioned to him that I liked. "Oh, you this?" And he'd stand up and he'd start doing the routine. And so that was something I'll never forget. And sometimes meet people at SNL that were you never have a chance to meet otherwise. So that's one of the cool things about it.
Hell yeah. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
This is, look, we have a lot of video snippets. I throw them up there to interrupt people. This is one of my favorites right here.
Stop that. It's silly. Very silly indeed.
I grew up on my daughter. I raised my daughter on Monty Python, and she'll walk around doing her mock English accent, doing Monty Python lines. Monty Python was the greatest thing that ever happened to me as a kid. I mean, we had a cult in our school of the kids that watched Monty Python, and we'd all hang out together and do lines from their shows. I mean, my God, man, Monty Python was the king, and it
I
led to
actually
me
wrote
becoming
a part for John Cleese in
what? You wrote a line for John Cleese for
I wrote
what?
a John Cleese at Star Trek, believe it or not.
Yeah, I heard
Not
that
a-
he
not
was supposed to be on,
mine,
but
I
ended
wrote
up
a whole
not doing
part of an
it.
episode, and I went to them and strongly told them John Cleese would be perfect for. Should bring him in for this. And that episode was never made for reasons, but I thought it would be such a kick to have in the world of Star Trek.
Oh, hell yeah. Here's John Cleese right now. Here's John Cleese. Are you ready?
How very interesting.
I can't see it, Gary.
True Bulgarian, aren't you? You're the Bulgarian, you fuck!
That was my John Cleese clip. So, but anyway, we've reached the end of the episode, and I wanted to thank you for being here. Hopefully, when we get you back on, we'll have a better connection. But no matter what, it was an absolute pleasure having you on today, Tracy. I look forward to next Wednesday when you, Don, and I get to sit down and talk about the stuff you saw. And I want to know what your research found out, because I'm very curious about it. But I'd like to have you on again in a few weeks as a guest again, if you have time, because it's just fun. And I want to get Robin on, because your wife is a delightful person. She's really just like so funny.
What he never talks about is Gary. He was one of the world's great surfers, and she doesn't really talk about it often. She surfed all the big waves for 8 years. And
really?
It was sort of the first professional woman surfers. Yeah.
So you married a beach chick?
Very interesting. I did, didn't I? Yep, I did. And she really looked good in those days too. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
It was great. Great pleasure meeting you.
It was great. Stick around. We talk a little bit after the show. Hope you can stick around for a minute.
Okay.
But thank you so much for being here.
Nice to meet you, Keith.
Chat,
Nice to meet
great
you too,
chat
Mr.
today.
Thanks, guys.
And by the way, guys, I want to share some pictures real quick.
You're very welcome.
I did have this Fire in the Sky right there, the poster. I remember seeing that in the theater marquee in the Army, and I'm like, I got to see this. And then this is Richard Crenna in Intruders. And this is Richard Crenna in Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Wow.
And Richard Crenna was Stallone.
God, wow.
So great stuff, Richard Crenna. Did you get to meet Richard?
Oh, yeah. I met Richard before Intruder too. But yeah, very classy, kind of soft-spoken guy, very serious actor. I mean, he really, he really knew his craft. There were a lot of people who were possibly part, and when Crenna's name came up, I thought that was a really perfect choice for it. Did you guys ever see a movie called Red Sky at Morning?
Yes.
He was in that too.
He actually was also in a made-for-TV movie that really looked like the inspiration for The Hills Have Eyes, where a family in an RV are being tormented by people in the hills. And that was done back in the 70s. But again, I want to thank you again, Tracy. Really wonderful. Oh, look, we got a porn bot. Look at that. Block user. There we go. I want to thank you for being here. Keith, thanks so much for co-hosting today. I love looking at the top of your head. Keith. Yeah. Wake up, motherfucker. Doing a show. Steven, thanks for being here. You asked a great question right off the bat, dude. Thank you, dude. Martin, thanks for being here with the chat. You're an awesome right side of my brain. And I want to thank everybody in the chat for being here. I'll start with the very beginning. Penny, Alatar, Socks Bulletins, Anima Confusa, the love of my life, Scott Lewis, Joe's Atmosphere, a fellow veteran. I salute you. Sliders fan blog, thanks for joining us. I hope you watch more of our shows. Decepticons Cave of Villains, Lord Thoth, all hail Lord Thoth. Christopher Moonlight Production, who is a very good filmmaker and a fan of yours as well. Bill Barkley, Alf Jeebus, also known as Monkey Jeebus, thank you, come again. Hugh Denton, let's see, and of course our good friend Kylock. I hope you're doing well, my friend Kylock. We love you guys. You're a great audience. Brett Cohen from Australia is here. Good day, mate. Good on you. Good on you. Peter Vickman Fansite is here too. Hey. And of course, my good friend Kingsport Cal from Tennessee. I want to thank all of you for watching, and everybody have a blessed Friday. Go have a good time. And more importantly than anything, just stay safe. Keith, do you have anything to add to the end of the show? Don't care.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please make sure to like, subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell
That's Keith
icon
talking. Sounds he's got a cold.
Shows and channels.
His nose
Also,
sounds
please leave a
stuffed up.
comment, and we'd like to know what you thought of the episode, as well as letting us
Yeah,
know
guys, leave a
if there's
comment.
something
Let us
you'd
know
like
what you
us to
thought of the
cover in
episode.
a future
Really good.
episode. Don't forget that you can become a member of Pop Culture Minefield
Oh, that's
now.
right, Keith. Thank
Make
you.
sure to
Yes,
visit
you
our
can become a
membership
member.
page
That's right.
and merch store at popcultureminefield.com.
Bye, Penny. We love
You can
you.
always find
Monkey
Pop Culture
Jeebus,
Minefield
you know I love you very
on
much.
Twitter,
We
Facebook,
love you long time.
Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch.
I'll send the link to you guys to join us in the after show chat. Thanks for watching the show, guys. It really means a lot when you guys show engage. That's right, like Patrick Stewart. Okay. Best in the team on any show on YouTube. That's right. We want to believe. That's all, folks.
Back now. You hear?